so I'm assuming we were somewhere else.
We are live. We're back in house transportation on, what is this, Wednesday, February 3rd, 2026. And we don't always have a lot of blocks on the agenda for committee discussion. I let a little more committee discussion go on in that last section. I try not to and to direct the witness testimony, but to now going back and forth across the table is okay. We can pick it up from there. We are, as an overall process, we're going through the T-bill in terms of the language and the different sections. We've heard from Ledge Council walked us through. Now we're going to hear agency piece through the rest of the week, and then we're going to be adding in anybody that we think will be impacted by that T-bill language. So that's that process. We still have a couple more budget presentations that are going to be back, and maintenance is going to be back, and there's a couple other pieces we haven't heard all of it. And then we can bring back and redo any parts we want from there. And then there are a couple of bills that we're going to dig further into. I think I heard a bunch of discussion about Representative Burke's bill related to the local option tax on fuel, et cetera. We're still going to dig into it no matter what we hear. I'd like to hear it. I think the public deserves to hear the option.
It's a conversation starter.
And I'm very interested in hearing that starting conversation. But it's going to be open to, so we have the T-bill, we have the budget, we have a couple of other bills we're going to dig into, and the schedule will go through there. I will also add that for anybody that watches the Senate activity, they are heavy and deep into the miscellaneous motor vehicle bill and inspections and a few other projects, but they're certainly getting a wide range of work and input on inspection and pieces, so that by the time when we spend our time in March, we're going to spend a significant time. Hopefully they'll have gone through some of the noise and figured out some of the pieces, and it'll be a little smoother for us when that time comes or not. But there is discussion of a public hearing for Vermont State Inspection feedback. And I have not seen the date yet, but there is a discussion about that. Would be, I had indicated we would be willing to participate as a committee. I guess I should have asked first, but I didn't. So, but I think we want to hear what anybody that would want to come in and share information from the public. So I did say that the committee would be willing to. The catch there is it is usually an evening event. So I don't think the date has been picked yet.
There has been a set date, but it would be Wednesday nights from 6 to 7:30.
So some coming Wednesday night.
Is it the Senate Transportation Committee
Senate
putting
would
that
be
on?
hosting it, but it would be labeled as a joint.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea. There are so many opinions on it.
Participate, but I can't make you be here. That's your choice every day, but there's going to be a public hearing on Vermont State vehicle inspection. And we will, as many members as can be there, will hear what the public has to say. And it will be on Wednesday night. Yes.
That's farmer's night. I don't know if that
It
matters.
starts at 7:30 to
So
farmer's
you're
night.
gonna
This
do
is
prior
right
to-
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Time
like you're
is-
more aware of it than I.
What is it gonna be?
I've
Farmer's
never
night
been to
starts
farmer's
at,
night.
No, I mean, when is the
so they're talking about 6 to 7:30.
6 to 7?
And it'll probably be in room 11 or something.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics about
Yeah.
the funds and stuff, but I know that at least we're planning it for a Wednesday at like 6, from 6 to 7:30.
And they can probably also have a Zoom option. They're good at setting that up too.
So those are pieces that I know are coming. If there's any other parts that we had, we will be getting some testimony on the update on sort of the EV ACCD, where the registration money goes and what progress have they made on the money we've given them. But I mean, we, in terms of the transportation registration for EVs goes to infrastructure, and we had them in last year, and there was, I don't know what way to label it, what level of progress had been made with that revenue. Well, now it's been another year, and we're certainly going to take testimony on what they've accomplished with that.
And there's 800,000 in the budget to go toward that additionally from the registration fee, I think, right?
I think maybe Logan can help us, or not. I'm a little bit on the spot. I'm not sure what exactly that number
For the
is.
record, Logan is trying to spot this. There is, and we can talk about this in more detail. A proposal, last year it was a one-time transfer that we were transferring the revenue raise to ACCD is now being proposed to sort of amend some statute to allow this money that is raised from the EV infrastructure fee to be appropriated to ACCD. It's $1 million this year, but there is some language in the big bill that would essentially no longer make it a transfer from the agency to ACCD, but would allow an appropriation from the T fund directly to ACCD.
So is it just a cleanup of the,
It is a change of how, it would be a policy change, essentially how these funds get to ACCD. And again, I can bring in the language and sort of like
yeah,
talk about it in detail.
because I thought it was clear that the registration fee would be used for this program.
Yeah.
This, maybe I'm
And it
wrong.
still will be under this language, it's just, it's a little bit of a technical, but there is a policy change into like how it is transferred technically.
Okay,
And so I think when you see the language, it'll make more sense, but it's $1 million in the governor's proposed budget that will be going to ACCD.
and that $1 million is the amount expected to be raised by the additional registration.
I believe that is the
Costs.
case, yes.
And if, so if I remember when that fee was added to electric vehicle registration, it was specifically to go to that.
Yep.
And until such time, I think, until mileage-based user fee comes aboard.
Correct. Yep.
So that's still happening this year.
Correct, yep.
And they come in tomorrow, right?
They are.
ACC, yeah.
They're on the agenda.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to comment, that was the thing that, when people were complaining about fee. When I told them that it went to that program, they were fine.
they were fine.
Which is going away next year.
Well, I think it stays until the mileage.
Well, that's what I'm
base
saying,
user
it's a
fee,
mileage
yeah.
base next year.
Well, we'll see. Yes.
The other question is, we haven't
Make sure
got
it's
the
ready
answer
to
to
fly.
what was the, what's the cost of an average, the person drove 70 miles a year? What did they pay?
You mean the rate for mileage base?
What was, in other words, is this amount the correct amount, of what we're paying for the registration? Is that what we would have spent on?
No, it's lower.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely
well,
lower,
Yeah,
So I think, getting that with the mileage issue.
well, I mean,
Just going back.
at the point, and I've said this before, even last year, and probably the year before, really, where the rubber meets the road is when we come up with what is the rate for mileage base per mile.
We also have a testimony we took last year. The Agency of Ag is supposed to be coming up with how weights and measures portion of electric charging, that it matches electric charging and that your inspections of electric chargers, and whether they have equipment to test at level 2, level 3. There was some iffy, and that's been put off to, so we'll have to look for an update in that area as well. In meeting with the,
And on that same topic, we have a couple bills up there that are addressing charging, electric charging. Making sure the rate is posted, making sure
Credit cards.
they'll accept credit cards, and that the uptime is posted so people know whether they're online or not online. So that's up there too.
and that's a interesting question of jurisdiction. Whether that really is powered or not, just like what we're doing.
As a
with the ag
national
fees.
company.
And whether they're PUC type work and sort of like under that right to charge idea.
Well, that's a separate one, but yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I've been asked whether we're gonna look at it, I'm not sure that, how that, so maybe there's a conversations that need to happen with the chairs of a couple of other committees to see whether or not. Can we, are we, should we be in that arena or not, and how far without some work with another committee?
Yeah.
Maybe if there's some
Yeah.
joint work that needs to be done there, or, but certainly we're not gonna be experts on what goes on in that area of the charging for it. That's-
Is it energy and technology?
I mean, with
I'm wondering
that,
if we need some conversations and some help from another area.
I would think that, wouldn't that be language that we would want to have as part of the vendor, the choice of vendor going in to install these level 2s and level 3s? I mean, they've obviously been installing them. But so maybe to look back at what the initial charge was, to say that if you're a vendor that's awarded this money to put it into level 2 or level 3, that you are making sure you're following this criteria that,
Or you're thinking of the NEVI.
Yeah, maybe, or the.
well, no, or the ACCD.
Yeah, ACCD.
manage that.
Contractually obligate people.
I guess I'd say it, like any state
But
funded.
there are other companies that are just putting these in, right, that have no state, not to us. I think what these bills are trying to say is, hey, if you have a public charger, then just like you have a gas pump for the public, you gotta put the price on, the price has to be visible so people know how much they're paying. And then we're also saying, hey, and I think you're right, it could go to another committee, but hey, and you can't force us to like have your app, and that's the only way to use it. If it's for public, you ought to be able to have reasonable payment method, which would include a general credit card.
It's private, if it's private enterprise, unless you're under a contract to do certain things, and I don't know what the leverage is that you would produce a contract for such things.
Not sure you can.
It's free enterprise, and they can say, I will only charge Teslas, for example. So
I think this is also a commerce issue, commerce and economic development.
Yeah.
We're jointly looking at this. They should be involved.
That's a good point.
Well, doesn't mean we can't start the conversations.
No.
I'm saying that I don't know that. Yeah. Certainly the last thing that I would like viewed in the building is that I'm outside of our.
Right. I think
Maybe, I'm particularly sensitive to if I do it. So,
I think there is legislation that says you have to take cash for certain businesses, isn't there?
what's it?
That you have to accept
Yeah.
cash.
No,
I
I
thought
think
there's
there's
some
not,
legislation, but
because
maybe
I've
not.
actually
I don't
had I've
Good
had
question.
a constituent asking about that, like he wants to be able to pay a couple dollars for a cup of coffee, and there's certain places that only accept credit cards.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
so I don't
maybe
think they're, no.
yeah.
I wonder if that's a federal issue, legal tender, and they don't have to accept it in commerce.
If you
You know,
want
I
to do
think- I mean,
business
during
with me,
COVID-
you do it on my terms, pardon me.
Right, yeah.
But unless I want to smoke or I want to, right?
Let's not making it complicated.
When do you decide when it is your business and when it isn't? That's interesting. That's not for this committee to decide. We can't decide that. I'm just saying that that's only partially true, Chris. Right.
Hey, listen,
Some version of it. Specifically, as far as feedback, budget testimony or questions about the building of the budget or particular areas of the budget, or is there anything that is out money related to the T-bill that you want to hear more about? Is there, we do have maintenance coming back in. I'm not sure where we are on the full list of departments, if we covered them all. Is there anything in the area? We obviously spent some difficult conversation this morning. We have a couple of others. Is there any area that you want to hear more about in terms of this money, the budget?
Yeah, so the 10 million transfer, I mean, we could say, oh, yes, we like it, but it's obviously gonna go through appropriations and maybe in education. So do we need to talk to them or coordinate with those committees? Like, if this happens, what are you gonna do?
Mhm. I can say that some of those conversations are happening,
Yeah, well.
not with the education chair,
Right.
but at this point, but with Ways and Means and Appropriations, those conversations are, but not, we haven't taken any testimony on that. And I'm not sure where we would or not, but we should at least, we should have testimony on what the $10 million does to other areas' money. So that would be, start with Logan and ask him which direction we want to go on that. What's the impact on the other areas? Please, Representative Burke, I'm sorry.
On that topic, have we heard from other people, appropriations, or any other committees about the use of that $10 million?
Not in any official capacity. They're aware of the presentation from the budget.
Yeah.
As far as appropriations
There
goes,
was a
what-
pushback about it.
what I would say is what I know so far is that the head of appropriations said, let me get through the Budget Adjustment Act, and then we'll start on the budget, and we'll have our initial presentations from the largest pieces. I'm aware she's aware of the budget, but they're just starting
Okay.
on, and then transportation will go into, the agency will go into the approps and start discussing it, but beyond her awareness and knowing it's on the plate, those are the things
Okay.
that I'm aware of so far, but I don't have more than that. Unless you were gonna go
Well,
ahead.
just to follow up on that point, I think it would be really helpful to try to understand better what the implications are of pulling that 10 million out. We're talking about it in a silo related to transportation, but I guess what I've heard folks the conjecture is that it, would have an impact on property taxes, given our obligation to school budgets. So it would be helpful to have a sense of what that looks like if we're pulling that funding here.
I think it's got less than a penny, I think, for every 15 million, it's a penny, so.
Yeah, it would be good to
But
get
yeah,
testimony on that, yeah.
I have made a note and I'm looking over your shoulder and I've got the thumbs up confirmation that is now in progress.
Thanks. Great.
Perfect. See how quickly you can make the difference? Representative White?
Two things. First of all, when I look at the overall budget, some areas I'm really quick, like paving. I know that, I have a good idea of what that is, and we know, I think we kind of understand the cost there, but like, when I look at bike and pedestrian facilities, transportation alternatives, environmental policy and sustainability, I feel like I would love to see like what programs are listed underneath those different categories, because we've had some testimony about a number of different programs that may fall under one of those, but I guess I'm just not as clear about what specific programs fall under those categories, so we can see, the bike and pedestrian facilities has a 12% increase. Transportation alternatives has a 30% decrease, but like which programs are in there?
You can speak to the transportation alternatives. That, they have a set amount every year that they award, so that's constant. Why it fluctuates is the receipts that they anticipate that are coming in for those awards that were given out in prior years. So those numbers are always gonna change, that's just what's anticipated. So the awards are the same, it's just what's coming in first, the bills. That's how that.
And is that a grant program?
Yeah, it's a grant. It's the same money. Touch hours.
It's full
It's an
federal,
80,
80/20.
When I guess I hear the, well, if you want to add to that, go right ahead, or it's another subject.
Is there-
I wasn't sure that she was done
It
yet,
might-
and I'm saying that I was going to comment on what you said,
Go ahead.
but if it's staying in the same subject, I'm happy to have it join in. I'm not trying to. You had said there was more than one thing, but when you mentioned the particular ones, we did have Andrea write in on environmental policy and sustainability, and we have had, but it may not be hitting the mark, I guess.
Yeah, I just-
It might be another way to
Yeah.
dig into.
I kind of want to have a subcategory, like bike and pedestrian facilities. Is that, like what, the mileage smart, the safe routes to schools, like where do those fall underneath these? I guess I would just love kind of like a chart that,
In effect, a subsection of each one,
yeah, so,
well, or a little parentheses in a list and a contact name next to each one.
yeah.
Without changing the one on the transportation on the page, we're talking about helping. We had made this, I do recall that suggestion of having the 5A, 5B, 6, the different sections in the white book under in the piece, but we don't want to make the page too big, but it's like sort of putting the each section from the white book into the piece. But we may want to have something that also has the head of each one and perhaps another breakdown list underneath each one. That's what I'm hearing you saying.
Yes,
You want to add to that? Or go ahead?
I just think in this, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry,
I think you work
If
first.
we're changing subjects, I want to hold it. No, but if we're on this subject, I want you to join.
I wanted to say that we had talked about this yesterday, transportation alternatives. We were talking about how the 80% went to 50, what did we do? 50% to the clean water and 50 for, there was a list of eligible things that you can do with that from federal. And that was what the discussion was about, and it's in the bill that just came out yesterday, is to do 80% of everything else instead of 20% to the water. Yeah. And including more money for well, that was one of my things that I'd like to see more money for the surgeries for schools. So remember that we had that discussion yesterday. So you can look on the online, there's a whole list of all the eligible, like, look at transportation alternatives, and it was salt sheds, it was a lot of other things.
Yeah.
It's an answer, like-
But I
Pretty
think,
much all yesterday's presentation.
yeah,
That is
I
made
think
the
what we've
decision.
seen in the last few years on that budget, that some of the good amount of the TPI money is towards salt sheds. I mean, there's always that, it takes up a big chunk.
Yeah.
And I think the testimony we had yesterday was, those funds, those federal funds, they can, here are all the things they can be used for, including salt sheds, but they don't have to be. They mentioned some states, 100% of it goes to head and bite sort of projects. So, and I think what's on the bill now is, consider changing from 50-50 to 80-20. So more goes toward the transportation. Less goes toward the water quality projects. And I think the argument was water quality projects get funding from a number of sources.
and do
But
we,
this isn't the only one.
and do we need it, do we need an actual bill to change the split, or was that just kind of like a decision
No,
that was made?
I think-
No, that's statute, we have to change.
Yeah.
It would,
In which we have, I lobbied for that, was able to, with the prior committee support, that we changed that split.
Do 80-20?
No, to get away from the 80-20,
We changed it
because
to,
I despised
we
it.
changed
Yeah.
it because
I
it was
agree
at a
with what we're
time,
doing.
Yeah,
it was at a time when the
Yeah.
Clean Water Act was going into effect,
Yeah.
and we needed money,
Yeah.
yeah.
and everybody was talking about clean water, and,
Yeah,
but now I think it could change back. Okay.
yeah. I forget the breakdown, but we did change that.
and we would then need language in the form of a bill that we would then potentially,
Right,
not that we're doing
Yeah.
that, but potentially then roll it into the
T-bill.
TPS. We're still not going to pass everything we're going to do would have to be a roll of some sort of
Right.
an addition or whatnot. So yes, that's just as far as process goes. The idea is noted as far as doing some little more dig into that.
Do we ever eliminate, dead programs? They just continue on and, I mean, we heard one yesterday.
Amen. Sorry. Well, we're going to
It
hear some
seems
more about that.
so hard to spend money only to give away, only to be effective in what, 3?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. That whole program should be fictionated. Bye.
But the other additional thing is they provide waivers. So there isn't any reason why they couldn't use that same system to provide waivers for no money.
Right?
It's already doing.
But it's a 1-year waiver, and you get one bite at the apple, but the argument was they were doing away with, the reason why we came up with this, I mean, I wasn't on board with it, but
Yeah.
the pass is that we're doing away with these waivers. We need to backfill it with this program.
Okay, so then that because that was my point. If you're gonna add 500 at the $20,000
Yeah.
piece.
They're very expensive to buy a new car. Well, not a new
Yeah,
one.
that's what we're going, that's the other.
Give 'em a
thing.
car at that point.
We're gonna take $10,000 and buy them a new car that passes admissions.
Yeah.
I haven't been on committee a long time, but I would say that if a project has ended, it's generally related around the funding. The funding didn't come anymore from the feds, and so we pulled back our key fund piece if there was one, and that's how a program generally gets ended. As far as the one from yesterday, that's on the agenda again at 1:15 this afternoon, I think it is, something like that. Some follow-up, and there's some work being done to figure out where that money, whose money is that? Whose program is that? And, that's only supposed to be part of a drive-by, but obviously we went, we'll deep into it.
Federal money's ours too.
But yeah, but I.
Sometimes we think it's-
I mean, whether it's
Yeah.
T fund money or it came from a general fund money or whose budget is it? So that we're gonna hear about at 1:00.
Sure, somehow there's a string attached to everybody's wallet somewhere along the line.
I couldn't argue that.
That was the craziest thing I've heard here so far. That was the craziest thing.
I just had a second part of that question. Which was that, will we have an opportunity to share the bill that some of us put together for the committee?
Friday.
It's on
Is this,
for Friday.
well, there's the bill introduction on Friday, but if you're asking about, you'll have to ask that you want it to be presented and then suggest witnesses that you'll want to have. If you want to see a bill that's on the wall acted upon beyond the introduction, I guess start with asking and suggesting who you'd want to have present, but I guess to be very clear, I don't have any on there that I intend to do anything about until somebody asks me to. If that makes sense. Well, that's not true. I already committed, we're going to do testimony on Representative Burke's on bill on local options tax potential for fuel. I've committed that we're doing that, and we're working on, or I've asked about what witnesses that we're going to do, and I am going to bring Representative Malay's bill on covered bridges with some background testimony that I don't suspect that will or won't go anywhere this year, but they're both conversation starters that I'm interested in. So those I am putting on, and I guess I'm saying, should I be asked to dig into that other bill? I suspect we'll have some time to dig into that bill, but you're gonna have to drive that. I'm not going to drive it
And
for
maybe
you.
it hasn't
If
been,
that makes sense.
It just got introduced.
did it get introduced on the floor and then assigned?
You're out.
Is it on the wall already?
I'm not sure if that answered your question or not, but
Thank
you're
you.
gonna have
Yeah.
to drive it.
Drive the
You're gonna have to find witnesses. We'll discuss how much time, if that's what you're asking for, but I'm not doing that. So.
So I am personally interested in learning on a more granular level, what of our environmental investments, the range of environmental investments that we have been investing in for the past number of years are delivering the most bang for their buck. And I think perhaps we might have some of the data at this point to start to see patterns. So I guess I'm wondering if it's possible to almost kind of do a sort of audit of all the things that we've been investing in, to learn how it's doing, so that given our very limited resources, we can be as strategic and effective as possible. So I would be interested in learning like what has just been like hitting it out of the park for us. And then what seems like it's very promising, but maybe needs some tweaking, like we learned from when we had Rawson to talk about public transit that, we struggle, particularly in the winter with buses, EV buses in the state. And that's due to our climate and our topography. They're just, we've also heard in other instances, maybe not this year, but last year, I think, that, the car share has been very helpful. So, I would like us to know how we're doing now that we've been at this for a few years and, just to have more of a sense of what things are rising to the top in terms of really cost-effective investments.
My general reaction to that one, at least that part, the environmental piece is the timing of certain guests' arrival that are in the background. And others that are,
Asking
the
each other
ears that are
credit.
listening. I would ask them to sort of take that in and think about what that might look like.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like, and I
I
don't know
don't
what kind of
either.
work that would
Yeah.
entail. I'm not sure, I don't have an answer to that. I have the people that I will ask are hearing it.
I think we would need to make a list of which programs, you know, because it's a lot
Absolutely,
range,
yeah,
so
yeah.
which ones we need.
And I don't know, you don't have to comment or not, if you wanted to comment on that at all,
If I may, Chair Walker, Michelle Boone Power, Agency of Transportation. I think the level of specificity that you could provide relative to the information you're looking for. A benefit could mean, you know, was there a chloride reduction? Was there a GHG reduction? Was there whatever? So I think we can, if you can be as specific as possible, an environmental benefit could mean 6 or 25 things, you know, so. So that's would be my only feedback to folks that are putting this list together, things you'd like to hear about.
were you looking to add to that at all? I'm sorry.
I mean, that's the first thing that came to mind too. Andrew, right, for the work as environmental policy manager for the agency. And yeah, that was my thought to like narrow it down to what, when you say environmental benefit, what do you mean? Are you talking about GHG reductions or talking about equity? Are you talking about resilience? We have a lot of different programs. And then I guess the only other request in that would be that we have some time to put that together. Because that's a big ask and you're like, yes, we want it all. So either narrow it down or certainly give us some time to figure out what.
Well, Mr. Chair, I would suggest that the climate action plan could, you know, provide some of the metrics. It's really just asking how effective we have been in this sector with our goals. What's working, what is maybe not working so well, and what are things that might be promising if we were able to invest more monies in them. Just, you know, we have a limited amount of money to use.
Representative Burke has asked for some testimony on climate action plan, I believe, right? There's a
Yeah.
particular individual that we're,
I think it'll be Jane Lazarchuk
and they're
for me, right?
on the list of requesting and being worked on testimony.
Right.
So sounds like we need a bigger conversation, but that's part of the direction that you're talking about. So I have that for a note. Not sure which one of you guys is next, so. Right.
It's pretty simple. So there are a couple bills up there that I assume we're gonna hold off till we get the DMV bill. There's a noise bill up there that passed from the Senate last year that I'm hoping to take a look at. But I'm assuming it'll be after
Ways,
the
ways.
T-bill gets through.
Anything related to vehicles would be in the second half of the.
Right, so we won't bother now, but we'll get to it. Awesome, yes.
We were asking for, or I think you were asking other presentations. I would like to revisit the Vermont Intermodal Roadway Guidance. Roadway guidance, that's the design specs for roads that we had in here was last week. Yeah. I had some questions.
Talked you down off the ledge.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry, I didn't know I got upset. I didn't display my upsetness.
I didn't know you were upset. I just said it was different than your normal reaction.
I wasn't upset. So the point is, I do have 3 questions into them, and I don't know if we've heard back, but so I'm not pressing, is my point.
But those are the design standards.
Yes, the design.
We had to come up with a new term, so everybody had.
Is that what they got a mouthful.
So, budget. Anybody else that you want to hear from, any particular other pieces on the budget that you want to hear about?
You know, VLCT on support for highway, maybe we can get an idea of, you know, controversial statement. You know, I guess just how are our town highways doing and, you know, how are they faring, I guess. And is there a particular ask through VLCT on highway, town, municipal funding needs? Or holes or changes to policy that they're recommending? I haven't heard of any.
Okay. Maybe, a little bit of a budget is more of a pass through, but I think there is a little bit of money to be given, but typically at Burlington Airport, come in. Give testimony. You're looking for blocks to fill in that they usually present. Not a must, but if you're looking to on a schedule.
I just
I
want.
mean, there is money that we do give them, I forget what it is. For these data.
The last part, I guess I would add out is the speaker had mentioned in a couple of different things that had been discussed with some, not necessarily, well, their budget impact. The sort of a review of some of the sales tax items versus purchase use tax items, e-bikes and bicycles and auto repair parts and trailers and things of that nature that are sales tax that perhaps really may or may not be, should be considered potentially purchase and use items. So we're going to look at taking some testimony on that. There might be some testimony on, we have classes of registration and now we have this, is it the conventional hybrid that's driving mileage plays up pretty substantially. And when they're start getting into the 40s and 50s and 60 miles per gallon, maybe there's a registration fee to capture that lack of gas for the use of the road. It might not be a mileage-based user fee, but it might be a class of registration on vehicles of a certain efficiency because they're not paying, they're not helping support the road at that point. So I don't know what the flexibility is in multiple levels of vehicle registration, but I think it's something we're going to find out about. The speaker had mentioned that we should potentially explore some other options in relationship to vehicles that are perhaps, if the gas tax revenue continues to go down, why is it going down? We know that, but one of those is high efficiency vehicles and the technology is driving that even higher. I believe we received testimony earlier that one of these new conventional, or this one of these new hybrid cars, one of the biggest sellers in Vermont, right?
Yeah.
We're getting estimated highway of 50 plus.
I'll say.
I know, I'm looking at you,
My-
because you seem to know a lot
My
about those.
hybrid has got almost 140,000 on it, and I averaged for the entire time 51 miles to the gallon.
Excellent.
I guess that's the translation of what I said, isn't it?
It's a tax break for people who drive V8s. Hit the ones that are visors.
It's 11 o'clock and thank you very much. I'll try to see what I can do to add those to the agenda piece. And for those of you who said they had other things that they're of interest, you can keep coming at me outside the committee time. So now, I put all that away. Andrea Wright is back to join us again. Return presenter.
I'm just being sarcastic.
Brad. We got Brad here too. Two returning.
And Brad, I got a seat for you up here.
It's like weekly talk shows and returning guests. And welcome back. You need a minute there and take my notes, turn them into a list. So like maybe for action next week. So there, okay. That's what I do usually is come back and try to take them, but I sometimes I get a few weeks behind or days behind. Okay.
There's your paper, just one more.
It took me a few minutes. Here's notice. My way in.
That's got.
It's a different connection right now.
I see it.
I'm called Jeff.
Not tough. We're gonna form a subcommittee on the designing. And have you guys panel come up with recommendations and what additional work you want. It's interesting, that you're not the only one that shows a significant interest in that docket. So we've been the primary driver on this committee the last couple of years, and apparently there's someone else with a significant interest.
Exactly. Yeah, so,
It was good, right?
Which is probably good.
yeah, yes, this needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does that. Yes, happy to.
Thank you a little bit. Yeah, sounds good. Because I got somebody coming in that I gotta go. Because it won't affect. I thought I was about to tell you I was gonna be gone, but I'm not the way. Yeah, that's probably the reason the schedule is the way it is, because I got constituent this afternoon. Like it look like I'll miss anything. So I'll get two visitors back to back, so.
Yeah.
Hey, who knows? That's not gonna be. That kind of talk would help me in my district. Oh, we're getting closer. I recognize something.
Coming, I think.
There's no worries. I should have had you come up to the chair earlier.
I think we're all set.
Excellent. Everybody's always got more to check and things to read and text to answer. So a little extra time built into the budget is just fine.
Are you taking this off?
We are live. We never went off. All of that work was out there for the public consumption, but now we're at the 11 o'clock reporting and updates, and welcome back.
Thanks. For the record, my name is Andrea Wright. I'm the environmental policy manager, and
Brad McAvoy, facilities manager.
we're here to give an overview. It'll be a brief presentation on the biannual energy reporting pursuant to 19 VSA, section 45, heating systems. And that was incorporated into statute through Act 148 of 2024.
And I'd like to add for just a second that there was some media coverage recently on the auditor's report and about what transportation is or is not doing in relation to that report. And unless you'd like to make a comment to that, I think that the suggestion that I received, the feedback I received is there's a lot more going on in the transportation world of how they manage their energy consumption than what that auditor's report may or may not have portrayed. And this helps speak to that. If that's
right.
Representative.
The statute that this biannual, every other year, report, is it just for transportation or across the board on all BGS?
This and 19 VSA is for transportation only. There's other statute that talks about the state agency energy plan and the agency implementation plans around that. But this is just for transportation. Brought up by Senator Perchlik, I believe, in 2000.
Representative Burke?
Yeah, on that topic, so I'm assuming this is maybe, might be or not part of the recommendation of the climate action plan for.
There's no specific requirement or recommendation in the climate action plan for state agency buildings. There's thermal recommendations, buildings.
Okay, I wasn't sure what,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a new, a priority recommendation.
Yeah, when this was brought up, it was to address the comprehensive energy plan
Yeah, okay,
requirements set forth in that.
thank you.
Representative Pouch is.
One last question. In the state auditor's audit and report, is this specific in there or not? I don't think so, huh?
I
No.
don't recall seeing that as brought out. It was really, that it really is about BGS.
Yes.
All of the statutes related to that are about BGS, and there's certain entities in state government that have to report, that own buildings, that have to report to BGS. We report annually, and then they report, I think it's biannually. But they do also provide annual updates in the comprehensive energy plan. Chapter 9 is the state agency energy plan. And that, so when PSD does their annual reporting, they include that in there.
Thank you.
So just getting back to on the topic of being grounded, in accordance with the renewable energy goals for the comprehensive energy plan, as I mentioned, the agency needs to strive to meet at least 35% of its thermal energy needs from non-fossil fuels by 2035, and then 45% by 2035. That is what is in the comprehensive energy plan and where our targets are. It speaks to the need for the agency to use more renewable fuels. They want to see more use of wood in this language to heat our buildings, and also increase the use of electricity that's generated from renewable sources. It also states that when we're building new facilities or replacing heating systems in existing facilities, that we will prioritize switching to high efficiency and advanced heating systems. And then it has a requirement for that biannual reporting. We are required to report just to BGS. It's not a report to the legislature. And we have to do that by October 1st of every other year. It was put into place in 2024. Our first reporting year was this past October, 2025.
In cases.
Any new buildings, are they gonna have wood in them too? When you can?
So the new Swanton Garage that was completed last year has their primary heat source is wood pellets.
About regular firewood, we always cut up firewood or wood such roads, right?
We do in the garages, the smaller garages, that garage is too big to be able to do outdoor boilers. But we do have, I'll speak to it later, but I think we have 24 garages now that have outdoor wood boilers. We're just completing one now in North Montclair. That's replacing an old oil system.
But that's wood, not wood pellets.
Cordwood, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're cutting out right away for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go through the buildings. This
Well, we got lots of questions.
That's fine.
We went, was it last year we went to St. Albans?
Yeah.
Garage?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Swan.
Yeah.
Swanton.
Swanton.
Wood-
Well, it's located in Swanton?
It's all the same. It's in Swan. It's in Swan.
Boundaries
That's our-
matter.
That section that you saw where that new garage is what they call the development zone or
Well, that's in
the
Swanton.
development, yeah, where the tractor supply is in Swan there.
Oh, that's-
By
Wood pellets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Full Home Center is in St. Albans, right across there. Same part.
No problem.
So we'll start just with an overview of our AOT facilities space. The facilities program that Brad manages provides services to the entire agency. So helping make repairs, renovations, the new builds that we have, they manage all of that. The program also assists our aviation group, our rail, and the Department of Motor Vehicles with the management of their facilities. So all total, that means that AOT is managing 430 buildings, totaling more than 1.4 million square feet of space. So we operate most of those. We do have some of those facilities that we lease out, especially for airport and rail facilities. So those facilities are included in this square footage. We also have some facilities that we are leasing, and that is not included in the square footage of these buildings. And that's just because they have different billing, lease structures, requirements, and different things in there. So that's not included in this square footage.
It's just welcome centers. I thought BGS was in charge of that and we just pay them?
So AOT owns them, BGS operates them. They do a lot of the maintenance, with their maintenance program. We do occasionally go in and help on some projects, some sidewalk projects, other things. What AOT does do the plowing, a little bit of maintenance, but BGS typically operates and maintains.
Maintains them, but if the heating system crapped out and you had to replace it, that would go to AOT to
That would go to BGS.
BGS. Okay. So then this list has AOT and BGS responsibilities.
Only for the welcome centers, bus areas.
Okay,
BGS is a lot more than the welcome centers, for sure.
yeah, besides those.
Yes.
There's no, okay, I just trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that equates to about 900,000 square feet of owned space that we heat.
Can, Andrea, can you just explain that, I'm looking at, we've got 1.4 million square feet of total space. 900,000 is owned. Looks like 130,000 is rented.
Sorry, 900 of that, 900,000 square feet of that space is heated.
That should be cubic.
Sorry,
Okay.
that owned maybe threw you off there.
Owned and heated. Okay, so there's a couple 100,000 square feet of building space that's not heated and we don't need to worry about that.
Yes.
Okay,
Salt shed, storage shed.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
We definitely go on a footprint and not a volume, but certainly heat would equate, like the need for heat.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so shouldn't it say 900,000 cubic feet?
It would be a lot more cubic feet than 900. That's the
Yeah.
square, that's a square feet.
It's
So we've
But
got,
this,
27 or something like that.
okay, got it, I get it.
yeah, I mean, some buildings have 9-foot ceilings, some buildings have 20-foot ceilings. Yeah.
Some of them.
Okay, so just getting into sort of the process that we use and some of the challenges that are associated, definitely have some similarities to what was presented in the auditor's report that BGS deals with. We have a process where we have 40+ bill payers that are entering this information into systems primarily for billing, so that we are paying our bills. And that is, we have a collection of a very large system, 430 facilities by many different people with a lot of different billing structures. Some of those are in complexes. We get one bill for propane, we get another, some of them are metered differently for electricity. So there's a lot of different kind of constructs that we're working under. And that certainly does introduce the opportunity for some level of inaccuracy or inconsistencies, and then just human error as we are manually typing in a lot of this information. So there's definitely some challenges. We have different reporting systems for different consumption or sources of consumption. We have an internal system that we're tracking for paying our bills, and that has electricity and well, maybe it has everything. And then in addition to that, we were also in conjunction with BGS and their reporting systems, trying to use is it called Energy Star?
Energy Star Portfolio Manager.
For our facilities. So different systems there. We did run into challenges at one point. I can't remember the year, maybe 2018,
Yes,
I
true.
think,
Yeah.
that we started having some difficulties with entering data into that system. So we've been working with BGS. They have been working on trying to get a system where all of state government can kind of do this consistently. So that's definitely a challenge. It's difficult to separate out fuel usage for our thermal uses versus our vehicles. Same thing with electricity. It's hard to say if we're using electricity for baseboard or heat pumps or lighting or charging infrastructure. So those aren't all separately metered. And again, the way that we pay them, those meters could be all lumped together. Separate facilities could be lumped into one bill, depending on who we're going with for a provider.
There are all kinds of questions. Representative Coyle and then Representative Casey. Oh, we think he's all right.
What's an Energy Star manager? Is that an actual person or is that?
It's basically a database repository where it's got all the facilities in there, BGS buildings and AOT buildings. that we're supposed to fully pull everything into kind of one central location. What we ran into was problems when we build a new building, we'd have to get in touch with BGS. Trying to keep that updated with square footage of buildings we may have demoed or replaced, and it just, the system wasn't very user-friendly. And I know BGS, Brian Sewell was going through some issues trying to get that system updated as well.
So it's not an actual person we're paying, it's just a
No,
system.
It's a database management system.
So, is there a reason we should be separating out our electricity usage? Do we need to do that in order to reach the 35% by, or is it just because we want to know?
Well, this report asks us specifically, or this section 45 asks us specifically for the thermal energy usage. And we can get into a little more specifics of what they're actually asking for in that language. So depending on what we're being asked to provide and track, then yeah, there's different needs to break it out. Overall, the energy consumption, not so much.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see it be a challenge. It's
Yeah.
where you have a facility that has electric, heat pumps or whatever, they're using electricity, and all of a sudden you put in a couple of chargers in there. Now it looks like their electricity consumption has gone up, but buying fuel has maybe gone down. And it sounds like a real challenge to keep track of 100 and something buildings.
Heat pumps actually don't really draw that much juice, actually. They use a bigger breaker, but they downsize the size of the breaker to.
They're
I
quite
have a few of them, I like them.
Yeah.
They work good, they're not good, particularly good in super cold weather. You get down below 13, 14 below, now your efficiency is getting whacked and your electric bill's going up.
Just for reference on the electricity, we did recently put in, within the last couple of years, level 2 chargers at all of our district offices. So 9 locations around the state, they're not on separate meters. So as we're using those charging or people coming in for meetings, obviously those costs and electric bills going up. We don't really have a way to separate and track those currently.
Thank you. Just a side question, are those targets open to the public?
They're not. A lot of them are behind
Yeah, I understand.
fenced areas.
because you're paying for the electricity.
So challenges always present opportunities. There's definitely some work going on in our agency to track our own processes and really do sort of a continuous improvement, how we could get things more consistent. So we're working on that internally. Like I mentioned, we're working with BGS on what system that they might develop or purchase or whatever that might be. So all kind of working towards that. I think the auditor's report might speed that up a little bit. And it sounded like Commissioner Manoli had a response to that and has sort of a roadmap on how to address the findings in that report. So we certainly will be working with BGS on that as well. So,
So Jason, I just want to comment, with all the things that you're doing, I mean, you guys must be doing a pretty good job on fuel. And the things you're doing, I like the idea of burning wood.
Yeah.
I mean, you're handling it anyways here and there, so I think it's a good idea. I think you guys I'd be interested to know how much you would have spent if you didn't do some of these things, so I'm sure it's big savings, and just let you know, I appreciate that, so.
Yeah, no, we're definitely trying to convert where we can, where it makes sense. As systems are aging out or starting to fail, if we have the opportunity, and we'll show some examples later to try to be more efficient and get away from the fossil fuels. That's the direction that we're going.
So this is a summary of our annual thermal energy usage. As is required in section 45, we have to report for the last 2 state fiscal years. So this table really is just giving you a sense for the different types of fuels that we're using and how much of each is consumed. And then it correlates that to that consumption into metric BTUs. So let's see here. We are asked to provide those bullets there, the percentage of thermal energy used during each of the previous 2 fiscal years, as I mentioned, fossil fuels versus non-fossil fuels. the non-fossil fuel percentage by fuel source, and then each type and amount of wood fuel use. So this this language really is sort of focusing on trying to get our heating systems to a renewable source. We have a little bit of a challenge in some of those, meeting those, the non-fossil fuel percentage by fuel source. We report that here in the percent BTUs from wood. And right now, that speaks to the challenge of separating out the electricity. So that's really the only thing that we can report on right now for non-fossil fuels. We can't speak to what we're doing for electricity. And then each type and amount of wood fuel used, you can see there in the chart, there's sort of a blank line for purchase because we are using, the wood fuel that we're using is the cord wood from our projects. So there's no cost there. We are also using pellets, as Brad mentioned, in some of our newer facilities. That's not captured here yet because I believe just because it's so new. So future years would be able to provide that breakout between wood, cord wood and pellets or other sources of wood heat. Possibly the thermal consumption from energy, electricity, but I'm not sure that we'll be able to meet that challenge anytime soon. So overall, we've held steady over the last 2 years, state fiscal year 24 and 25, with a slight decrease from 23, and really it's a pretty minor decrease there, but there's a lot of factors that go into that: heating degree days, the different space. So that's, and then the shortfalls of our energy, our data collection. So
And this doesn't take into account degree days, heating degree days.
No.
Yeah, so that fluctuates.
Yes, you can't compare unless you do.
Yeah.
Remember.
I'm just trying to figure out, how this translates into the 35% mandate. Is it possible, or is it just too complicated to?
Well, this is just our thermal.
Yeah.
That is our overall consumption of energy.
Uh,
So that's only one piece of the pie. I don't think that we've calculated our overall, certainly not for this report. We probably could. And maybe Ari did do that. I could check to see if we have that at the ready and provide it if we do. But I
was just questioning because that was in the statute where you were trying to meet a certain goal.
Right.
And I just wondered, like, of these numbers, I'm not sure what it.
Yeah, I mean, the way the language is written in statute is really sort of providing that overall bigger goal, but then it speaks to more of the thermal of that and not the whole thing. So I don't have that right now.
Fine, I just wanted,
Yeah.
trying to the chart.
And then I think we just have a couple of slides for Brad to go through to give you a sense of what we're doing at existing facilities, some of the upgrades that we're making, and then our new builds as well.
So this kind of shows you some recent projects we've been doing and kind of a total overall of what we're doing as far as energy goes with our EV stations, our outdoor wood boilers. You can see on the top left photo there, that's the Barton Garage. The photo below is our LED lighting. We pretty much, I think we've done about 90% of all the maintenance garages have been converted to high bay LEDs. We have a few left to go. We try to do at least a couple a year to try to get those all completed. 10 solar arrays at our garages that we own that power those directly to us. We do have 4 sites that are leased out. Basically, we have a lease where the owner of the solar has their arrays. We get some benefit back to us through the grid. Those have been in place for about 10 years now. The other photo there is a Tunbridge garage. That was an oil heat in that building. We converted that all to heat pumps. Even with the cold we've had, we haven't had any complaints this year, which is good, surprising, but in a good way.
Is that your solar heat? Is that what you're just relying on, just the heat pumps and that?
Just the heat pumps there. We have solar and heat pumps on that site.
Okay.
Yep.
Guys use the air conditioning during the summer?
They don't typically aren't in the garage during the summer to be able to use it, but yes, they can cool.
They're excellent air conditioners.
They can
I'm
cool
telling you,
space, yes.
They are great air conditioners.
We actually just ran into a problem yesterday at the Scottney Garage. We've had a problem with that oil-fired boiler for a while, been making repairs. We're getting an estimate now to convert that building to heat pump as well. It's a smaller two-bay garage. A scenario like that would work fine for heat pump size. We're completing now North Montpelier Garage. That was a propane system that's being converted to outdoor wood boiler. That should be online for the next heating system. We're already starting to put up wood. So I think we'll have close to half of our highway maintenance garages are now burning cordwood. So
Does that picture there in the bottom, with the double stack compressors there, are they use wood that one at all down about?
no,
Just sole?
strictly heat pumps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a backup generator. Power happens to go down. They can still generate.
Are you seeing savings from these or, well, but obviously probably over time because of the cost of installing them?
And that's one of the things that, the chart is trying to track. We're not necessarily going in and engineering every time we change out, like this was the high pressure sodium fixture we had before. Now we're going LED. What is that kind of buyback break even time? That's something we're not currently doing much of. Could we? Probably. Any of our new designs, gonna go to the next slide, are all meeting the latest energy codes. Typically, we're surpassing those codes. The Swanton project that most of you visited last year, wood pellet boilers, heat pumps, plenty of EV infrastructure, 2 different solar arrays. That's gonna be the new standard for any large garages. The new central garage project will be also wood pellet and heat pump for the office area. The only fossil fuel will be our backup generator, which we kind of have to do if we have a long outage to be able to maintain. That's kind of the new structure going forward.
Big change.
Then Representative Casey.
Years ago, that's great.
Because currently, the current site that's now shuttered at this point was oil, and the new site will be wood pellet, so.
Yeah, and so I heard you say, hey, sometimes there's a project like, let's just change the lights out. Nobody sits down and figures out the cost payback, which makes total sense. Do you, with BGS, when a project comes up, and maybe not so much a new building because you have an architect who helps sort of with that, but if you got an old oil burner and you're like, okay, we're gonna change it, is it all within house of somebody looking at it and calculating the size of, whatever heat pumps you might need? And going through that, or do you utilize like Efficiency Vermont? Do they provide services to, and how is the decision process done?
So we typically would look at a system if we're starting to have to put money into it, we know it's getting repairs. We do have engineering consultants on retainer that can go look at the systems and try to design. They will sometimes work with Efficiency Vermont to see if there's rebates that we may be eligible for. The contractors will typically get those back to us in costs on the project. So we can maintain that way.
All right, so it's like any other business who might be upgrading their shopping center, yeah. All right.
Yeah, and I think the whole idea of us reporting to BGS is for them to look at the whole state portfolio and say, why is this facility using so much higher than other ones? And then they could work with Efficiency Vermont and do an energy audit and make recommendations, but we're sort of doing that on our own.
But the real challenge is so many moving pieces. Yes. Yeah.
Representative Casey and then Representative White.
Is that silo filled with pellets?
It is.
Yeah.
That's a 18-ton silo. They come with basically a tractor trailer. It's got a vac that fills it from the top down. The new central garage project was, since it's a bigger square footage, that's actually a 28-ton silo going in there.
Yeah.
I will say that all of our fuel contracts for the garages the new center garage included even for wood pellets, are all bid out through BGS. It's a commodity contract for all the fuel. So the new CG site will have to go out for an RFP. We'll get bids back for costs for pellets. Then they'll award based on site specific on that.
Do you get quite, I'm sorry, do you get quite a few bidders?
I don't typically see those. I do get the bid results. I know on Swanton site, we only have 2 bids. So that vendor also supplies the public safety barracks that's in St. Albans. So they probably were delivering in the area anyway.
Did you see a big, now you use pellets other places in the state, obviously, right? Did you notice a price
BGS.
difference?
BGS does. The Swanton garage is actually our first pellet because
Okay,
majority of our garage is 5-6 bay. We can do with the outdoor cord wood much cheaper to install the system and much cheaper to maintain and be able to fill and operate.
Yeah, so I just wanted to dig in a little bit to the solar arrays. So are those, can you just go back to what you were saying about the solar arrays? Those are installed by a third party and we are contracting with them, or how's that working?
So there's 10 that were installed by AOT that are owned by AOT that go directly back to offset electric bills at the garages. Some of them are generating enough. If it's a small garage, we can actually put it on another account that's within that same district. The other,
So they're offsetting, or are we actually drawing energy directly from the solar arrays?
it's both actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they're net metered. We're seeing a benefit to both, and we can, if we're generating more than what we're using on the site, we can use a additional location.
But you're not putting that on your chart of heating oil, fuels, wood, because that is
It's-
generating
yeah.
energy and
Yeah, and that chart is
at no
just.
cost other than
thermal
the
Consumption.
I'm sorry.
The chart is just for thermal consumption,
Okay,
so that's, yeah, it's just the heating. So
and solar is not being used to heat any of the buildings? Okay, so it's just being used to go to the, I thought you said it was going to heat pumps and heat pumps do heat buildings, so I'm confused.
well, go ahead.
The Tunbridge site maybe is just it's one of the only ones we have solar and heat pump. So that is offsetting some of the thermal usage as well.
Okay, so that's, the Tunbridge site does use solar for heating, but all the other solar sites do not contribute to heating,
Strictly for electrical, correct?
strictly for electrical. Okay, and it seems like we've got so much space and buildings and roofs, and it seems like solar would be a good thing to be bringing more of into AOT. Because aside from, I mean, there is a very substantial cost to installing it, obviously, but after that, it's free energy from the sun.
We did add it to Swanton. We've got a pretty substantial, probably our biggest array actually. So I think after a year or two, we'll start to be able to see what that full generation is, what we're seeing for a benefit. We certainly could add it other places. I think since we initially installed our arrays that we installed with our state dollars at sites, they've changed some of the net metering rules. We're not getting as much benefit back on a lot of that, which is why we kind of went away on some of those installs in a lot of the garages.
Okay. Thank you.
So back to this annual report, 19 VSA 45, it is just for thermal. There wasn't any other requirement. Okay,
Just for heating systems.
yeah.
We just want to be able to show that we're doing other things than just thermal to try to make all of our buildings more efficient.
And we are still providing all of that, all of the other data, all of our energy data to BGS every year. I think that's all we have.
Well, it certainly sparked plenty of questions and interest. So, anybody else have any other comments or
Well,
questions?
just, you can see how difficult it is. I mean, I guess when this was passed, did anybody say, this is gonna be really hard to collect this data? It's a moving target.
good, right?
Yeah,
It's also difficult too, just with the nature of our highway garages. I mean, when you got 14 by 14 overhead doors all opening at once and lose all the heat. I mean, we're going radiant in most all the garages now. We've actually converted a couple to, we saw cut the slab out and tied the outdoor wood boilers to the radiant, so that's been a good benefit. So yeah, I mean, we're doing as much as we can really with what we're given for dollars. And obviously the new builds, it's much easier to incorporate high efficiency right into the design from the initial scoping of the project.
Yeah, our implementation practices seem to be a little bit in front of our tracking collection of data and tracking practices, so.
You take a thermal imaging camera and you put it on those doors, and I do it at people's houses, and I say, hey, I'm not losing my heat, and I go over and the windows and doors, and
Yeah.
everybody thinks they got great windows and doors. They leak heat like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just,
And your roof really loses most of it.
just the new central garage, we're gonna have 24 overhead doors, so
You know, there's some.
As those
spots
start-
there.
opening up, I mean, we can lose it pretty quick. They're insulated doors, we replace most all of our highway garages with insulated doors, much more rated door to at least keep them warmer than the other doors.
I'm gonna put my bed next to it, sleep next to it.
Okay, well, Andrea, Brad, thank you very much. We appreciate the update and the required, but the piece. And so for the committee, we